Oh, those are the transport ones. It's down here. Yeah, it does. It's actually pretty. There's the beach. It's supposed to taste like cola.
There you are.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Just got to check in and get my tag. Alright, so I got my bag, Ironman Boulder bag, and then I can see the reservoir now. I'm all checked in. I got my wristband, so that's all on. Everything's all checked in, so basically now we just relax, eat, and I'm gonna go check out the expo. You get your t-shirts here instead of like at the finish line at a full, so that's a little bit different. And then everything else has been pretty much the same as a full, but I'll show you guys the water. It's absolutely gorgeous. It's actually fairly clear too. Take a look. There you go, now you can see better. So we are at our hotel, and I just went for a short run this morning, and we are gonna head down there and get some breakfast, and we're gonna go try to go to the Boulder Reservoir and check everything out, try to figure out where parking is and where we need to put the bike. Obviously we know, but we're just trying to figure out what would be the best location to park the car in the morning, since we have to drive from the hotel down to the reservoir in the morning. But here is our hotel room. Massive closet. And then we've got 2 double beds. And then we have June over here sitting up against the couch, and then a desk. And then we have like a little mini bar over here. It's actually very big. So it works out good. But let's go get some breakfast. Getting all of my bike stuff and swim stuff and run stuff ready, and I'm putting it back in a bag. It's so different versus like putting it in transition bags and taking it down. So I'm getting my bike ready to take it down to the Boulder Reservoir to drop it off, and then go to the athlete briefing, then pretty much just wait the evening out until tomorrow morning for race day, but this is what I have so far that's ready to go. It's pretty much everything I showed you at home. So my bike shoes, my helmet, my gloves, and my nutrition I'll put on in the morning. Here's my swim stuff, just basically goggles and cap, because I have, my tri-suit, my timing chip. I'm going to put my numbers on tonight, and then I'll fill up my water bottles in the morning. I'll put my oranges here in the morning, and then that'll go back in my bag with all my bike stuff. And then I have my run stuff, which is basically some compression socks, which I may or may not use. I'm still back and forth. I put my shoes in here, my number, and then my hat. So, oh yeah, might want to grab my running shoes. Those are important. Now we're back on track. There's my running shoes. Some running shoes, and then I've got my socks already in them. Like I said, I might use the compression socks, I might not. And then part of this nutrition will also go in the back of my jersey as well. But I think that is all it. We ran by and got some bagels at Einstein Bagel, just to have like a snack later on. I just love the bagels. And then I'll probably have one in the morning. I actually bought like my freezer Smart One breakfast burritos. So I might eat that in the morning, I might not. I might just eat the bagel, just depending upon what I want. Usually I'm nervous, so I don't eat much, so bagels are always super yummy and sit with me well. But I think that's it. I'll show you my stickers for my bike. So there is my bike sticker on my bike, and then everything's set up for repairs if needed. And then I think she's all ready, and then my pictures. Alright, I have her all wrapped, and literally her twin sister is right next to me. So whoever she is, I hope she grabs the right bike. And I've got my towel down there. And I think I'm all ready to go. It is super hot out here. There's some thunderstorms off to the distance, so hopefully it doesn't rain. And she is wrapped and ready to go. And we are going to head off to the athlete briefing and find out some questions about parking and what time we should get here, and just some general information. We are ready to go. Numbers are all on, and everything is packed up. It's dropped off, ate dinner, it's ready for time to go to bed, and tomorrow will be the start of Ironman 70.3. I will see you guys all tomorrow. Alright guys, so I am back in Kansas City, back from Ironman Boulder 70.3. It was August 3rd and now it's August 9th. I cannot believe this time last week I was setting up my bike, putting it in transition and getting everything ready to go for race day. It has been a whirlwind and a tough training week. I've basically done a full Ironman and then some with training this week, so it's been busy. But I'm still training for Ironman Wisconsin, so I gotta keep it going for a little bit longer. So I just wanted to recap you guys on how Ironman Boulder was. Just some tips, tricks, things that I noticed, things that I may have done differently, and things that I really enjoyed about Ironman Boulder. So we first arrived August 1st, so that was Thursday, and we stayed actually in Longmont, Colorado. It was about 6 miles north of the Boulder Reservoir, so the main event area. It was a great decision to do that because I noticed that the hotels in downtown Boulder, which was like the host hotels, if you will, were quite expensive. So I was like, neither one of them are going to be like walking distance. So I decided to stay in Longmont, Colorado. It was actually a great place to stay because they had Whole Foods across the street, which we went for dinner one night. They actually had McDonald's, which is where we went post-race. And then just lots of different like smoothie places, sandwich places, so lots of places to eat for like athletes. So with the Expo being Thursday, I went to check in and I got my wristband, I got my backpack that you see back there, and I also got my Ironman shirt. It was also, they had a fair amount of vendors, so different bicycles. I think Ventum's out of Colorado, so they were there to look at their bikes. Actually got this shirt. Is my bike okay? It's upside down. The Ironman store was also outside as well. It had to be 90 plus degrees in there. There was no ventilation. It was just a plastic tent. It was literally run in, run out. So it was stinking hot. So plan for it. It will be a hot trip out to the Expo or the race day because that reservoir has no shade, no refuge from the heat if it's going to be a hot day. Friday, we ended up just waking up. I slept 12 hours. I slept in. It was fantastic. We ended up going to check in my bike later on that afternoon. So I got my bike all prepped. I put the tags on it, put the stickers on it, got everything all packed up. It was very different for me. This was my first Ironman 70.3. I've done 7 full Ironmans in the last 11 years. So I had never not had gear bags. So it was very different for me to basically lay everything out and then put it back in my transition bag and then take it with me the day of the race. So that was just different from my mind to think, oh, I'm not throwing it in my bag, or what do I do with my cami cream? Just different things that I had to consider for race day. I actually went to athlete briefing that was actually fairly informational. They basically said it was going to be hot, get here early, parking is difficult, and we'll see you on race day. And that's pretty much what we did. We ended up going back to the hotel that night. I ate my traditional pre-cooked pasta, put some sauce on it, ate some tuna. It's really weird. It always works for me, always settles well, but that was my night. The next morning we got up at 3:30 in the morning. We were out the door by 4 a.m. I think it was actually sooner than that, about 3:50. I think we were actually exiting the hotel. So we ended up getting into transition. I was able to check my bike. I did not let air out of my tire of my bikes. I never really have. Bike was ready. I laid out all my gear. It was a super narrow area for my bike. And my bike actually was sitting next to 2 other bikes that were twins, like identical to my bike. And I was a little nervous that in the frenzy of race morning that somebody might actually grab my bike, like start rolling down and then realize I have the wrong bike. It made me a little nervous to tell you. And I ended up just going to sit by the reservoir. I ate my breakfast, drank my Gatorade, talked to my dad. He gave me a pep talk, got my wetsuit on, and basically lined up. It was actually a very quick morning. It was a seated start. So they started the pro men, they started the pro women, then they started us, which was the age groupers. You line up with the estimated finish time. So I lined up 30 to 35 minutes. So I got in the water and I noticed it was almost hot because we were right on the verge of it not being wetsuit legal. And I was like, oh, this is gonna be kind of warm. It's gonna be a warm day in my wetsuit. Swim went well. I noticed I just kept, like, people were running into me, literally swimming like diagonally across me. I'm thinking, oh my goodness, I think I seated myself correctly. I think I'm in the right area that I need to be. I think I started in the right time because I was passing people. And I just kept running into people. And I would say probably halfway through, I noticed my goggles started to get a slow leak. And I was like, well, I can probably finish this. You know, I've only got about halfway left. I'm almost to the turn buoy and I should be fine. It's just a little bit of water. It really started leaking in there right before the turn buoy. So I just decided, go ahead, kind of tread some water, tip the water out, put them back on. It'll take 5 seconds, but you'll be so much happier because it was getting to the point that I couldn't even really see. So I fixed it. I ended up finishing the swim in about 37:30, I think was my time. So a little bit slower than projected. I got clogged quite a few times. I'm going to be honest. Ironman Texas was a similar starting procedure. I didn't get nearly as many people like climbing on top of me or scraping the back of my feet. For some reason, I think it's because we had over just around 2,500 people. There's a lot of people in the water. So I think that had something to do with it. Overall, the swim went pretty well, and transition was straight uphill. It was a fairly decent amount of run because you're running on chip seal roads, and chip seal is basically where they lay tar down and then throw rocks on it, and then cars driving on it mush it into the tar. It was very not nice on my feet, we'll put it that way. It was very rough. It was starting to hurt my feet. I ended up grabbing my bike. My bike was there. Nothing was wrong. Everything went really well. Transition went well. I grabbed it and just headed off for my ride. So the bike was great. I mean, there weren't nearly as many hills or elevation gain as I was expecting from Ironman Boulder. I mean, you see the mountains, I'm thinking, wow, we're really going to get to climb those, or we're going to see a lot of hills. It was relatively flat. There was 1,900 feet of gain for the 56 miles. And the only thing I noticed from like Boulder versus, yes, Kansas can be hilly. Was the bike course hard by any means with all the courses that I've done? No, not at all. It was very friendly. I really enjoyed it. It was very scenic. I was a little afraid on some of the highways. We basically just had the shoulder. We didn't even have a lane of traffic. So people were really risking it by passing each other. So be careful on the course. I was just shocked by how many people were like leaving our designated area that we could ride to pass people just because they wanted to go a little bit faster downhill. It just blew my mind. Be safe. Go home to your family. That's the main goal of these. So finished the 56-mile bike ride. It was right around 3 hours, which I wanted to go a little bit faster. It was just over 3 hours. I wanted to go just like under 3 hours. So I ended up going through a transition. I had a very quick transition for my running shoes and getting my bib and my hat on, and that went really well. Within about half a mile, I realized this entire 13.1 miles is going to be in the sun, and there is no wind to like make my sweat evaporate and cool me, and I'm going to be hot. So I, like in Ironmans, I'll pour ice cups down my shirt and my sports bra will kind of hold it up against my chest. And every aid station, which was fantastic because it's 6 miles that you kind of go out and back around, and then you go out and do another 6 miles and come out and back around. We had an aid station every mile. Fantastic. I absolutely loved that. With this course being that exposed and that hot, you absolutely had to have one every mile. I don't know if I passed too many people that didn't stop at every aid station and walk it and get something to eat, something to drink, pour water on them, get ice. Almost everybody would stop at the aid station. So I knew I was going to be hot. And my speed started to slow down quite a bit by about 2.5 miles. I was like, I am not doing well. Getting to around mile 4, which was like a turnaround point to kind of head back to finish that 6-mile loop, the first one. And I started getting dizzy. I started getting nauseous. My vision was kind of going, and I know what that means. I mean, I've been racing for years, being a medic. I knew exactly what that meant. I was like, you have got to figure out a way to hydrate yourself, or this is going to be your first Ironman 70.3 that you do and your first Ironman 70.3 that you don't finish. So I ended up walking probably a quarter of a mile. I just put ice all over me, water all over my body. I mean, I made sure each arm was just drenched in legs and back, and ice was everywhere, ice on top of my head. And I started to feel like I was feeling better. After I walked about a quarter mile, I started running slowly again. I felt a little bit better. And so that kind of brought up my spirits. I was like, okay, I'm feeling a little bit better. Within another about 2 miles, which was about my turn point, was about 6 miles. I saw my dad, I was waving at him and saying hi, and I knew I had another 6 miles to go, and I just wasn't feeling great. I really wasn't. So I ended up headed back out for my second loop, and I knew, I was like, every time I passed something, I was like, you'll never see this again. Like, this is it. We're gonna go home, finish line, go spend time with dad, go get dinner, you know, like, just finish these 6 miles, do everything you can, give it all you got. And I did. So I did way better the second loop. My time was actually quite a bit faster. I don't know if I finally just got cooled down or kind of eased in, or I knew it was my last lap. Whatever it was, my second lap was much better. I felt much better. Ended up finishing, and I think my time was just around like 6:20. So not what I wanted. I wanted to be below 6, but I'm still happy. Considering the way I felt on the run, I was extremely happy, because I was at a point where I was like, you're getting really sick and you're going to have to disqualify yourself. You're going to be a DNF. So I was really happy I finished. And number 2, it wasn't nearly as bad as I thought it was going to be, because I was like, I'm going to have to walk the whole course. So I ended up grabbing my bike, grabbing my tri equipment. My dad got some water. He could not find water around the reservoir. It was crazy. He's like, they just aren't selling water. I've got some like Kona ice and some acai bowls, but there's like no water to be found. He had to go to the medical tent to find water. It was crazy. So I ended up going back to the hotel. I showered, I got cooled off. I was just still kind of nauseated. I did not want to eat. Within about 30 minutes, I got cooled down and I was ready to eat. And my dad and I went to McDonald's. I ate a ton, which usually I can't eat after an Ironman for like a day or two. It just takes my stomach a while. I was hungry. I ate a ton. I ended up, this was like a gas station McDonald's, and there was a couple racers that were there, and I was like, hey, how was your race? How did things go? Because they were still in all their racing stuff, and they said, it went well, but oh my gosh, it was so hot, and I can't believe, you know, gosh, that wasn't a shaded course at all. And I was saying the same thing. I was like, oh my gosh, literally no shade on the run. So I mean, if you don't train in heat, which the weather forecast said it was going to be 87 degrees, I checked it when I got home at my hotel, or got back to the hotel. The weather channel said it was 97 degrees. Not feels like, it was 97 degrees. It was stinking hot. So that would beat my Ironman Louisville 2008, which was 94. Stinking hot. And he was mentioning that this is a fun race. I love Ironman 70.3 Boulder. However, our spouses will never come with us ever again. They came with us the first time 2 years ago, and they will never come back here again. I was like, oh, really? Why? You know, share with me, what is the reasoning? He said, number 1, because they're stuck out at the reservoir, because once you pretty much park your car, you can't leave, because they close everything around it, because that's when people are leaving on their bikes. They don't want people to be hit by cars, obviously. So you're pretty much, when you get there, you're there for however long it takes that athlete to finish. He said also the same thing. There's not a lot of food. There's not a lot of water. If you have kids, they're a nightmare to watch. So I'm just thinking to myself, oh, I made the right decision not to take my family. So overall, I really enjoyed Ironman Boulder. It was a fun time for my dad and I to go. My dad and I have been doing Ironman or triathlon races since 2002. He has been to every Ironman race with me. So this was kind of a fun race too. If you will, leave my husband and kids at home and just focus on racing, have fun with my dad. So it was a really fun race. I enjoyed it. Boulder was a great community. They really took care of us. They just need to plant more trees near the reservoir. Overall, I really enjoyed it. I hope you guys enjoyed my review of Ironman Boulder and the video that I had. I am still training for Ironman Wisconsin. It is in September 8th, so it is 1 month away. Oh my gosh, I cannot believe it. We've got about 3 more weeks of really hard training, and then it is taper time. Holy moly. So do not forget to hit that subscribe button, and make sure you check back in to see all the other race videos that I'm going to be having and training videos, and I will see you guys next time.